Start the meeting.
I'm all set.
Jeff? Are we on?
We are all set.
All right.
Fire penalty.
So we're going to call the meeting of the Finance Committee to order on August 18th, 2021. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderman Patricia Clee,
She is not going, Alderwoman Clee is not going to be able to attend tonight.
Alderman at Large Michael B. O'Brien,
Present.
Alderwoman at Large Shoshana Kelly,
I'm here.
Alderwoman Elizabeth Lou,
Here.
and the clerk is present.
All right, and I am here. All right, so the first item is public comment. Is there anybody who wishes to speak to the committee?
Lori Ortolano.
Yes, please go ahead.
Lori Ortolano, 41 Berkeley Street. I just noticed the change order that's put in for the energy upgrade for wastewater. And I was wondering, when you talk about it, if you could tell me when that project was started and the completion date. When I look at the contract, I can't quite tell when this project is expected to be done. And that's my only comment. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Any other members of the public wish to address the committee? All right, we'll go on to communications. The first from Kelly Parkinson, Purchasing Manager. Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Mr. Mayor, I motion to accept, placed on file, and approve the annual renewal for Kronos Software Maintenance with Kronos, Inc., a UKG company, in the amount not to exceed $74,406.81. Funding will be through Department 122, Information Technology, Fund 54412, Hardware Maintenance, $14,107.59, and 54407, Software Maintenance, $60,299.22.
And I think Ms. Kleiner is here on this item.
Good evening, Mayor. I actually asked Nick Misovich to attend so that he may answer the committee's questions.
All right, Mr. Misovich. So please just give us a brief outline of what the contract is for. Now you're speaking, but we can't hear you.
How about now?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Okay. All right. Yeah, this is for the annual software support and maintenance and hardware support for our Kronos environment that services the entire citywide employees. And this is a yearly item, so you'll be seeing me every year around this time presenting this item.
All right. Any questions, comments from the committee? Have we got anybody attending remotely?
No.
We also have Alderwoman Jan Schmidt here, present via Zoom, but I don't believe she's a member of the committee. So since we have no committee members attending remotely, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next item from Kelly Parkinson, Purchasing Manager. Now, I believe Mr. Boucher is here on this.
He couldn't make it tonight. He's on vacation, but I'll speak to it, Mr. Mayor.
All right, so this is Mr. Hudson, the city engineer. Now, before we do the motion, there is an amended communication on this, right?
Yes, there is. There was some confusion due to a price change between BPW approval and tonight's agenda.
And so would the proper motion be the same, except that the 200,000 would be substituted for 230? Is that?
That's correct, Mr. Mayor.
All right, if there's no objection, we will accept the new communication as a substitute for the old. And so to begin, I will call on Alderman Harriet Gathright to make the motion with the understanding that the not to exceed 230 has now become not to exceed 200.
Yeah, that's. Mr. Mayor, I motion to accept and place on file and approve change order number 8 to the energy recovery upgrade contract with Methuen Construction Company of Plastow, New Hampshire, in an amount not to exceed $200,000 for final completion of the remaining work for upgrades to the energy recovery facility. Funding will be through Department 169 Wastewater Fund, Wastewater Activity, Energy Recovery Upgrade Project.
All right, you've heard the motion. Now, Mr. Hudson, could you please summarize the need for the change order, and in the context of discussing that, if you have information regarding when the project began and when it may end, could you please give us that as well?
Or Mr. Mayor, I'll do my best. Unfortunately, Superintendent Boucher couldn't be here tonight. He's on a vacation, but so I'm doing my best to fill in here for him. Sorry. This energy recovery project, just as a little background, it's a project to take digester gas and run it through a turbine which generates power. So where in the past at the plant they would simply flare off the excess gas created by the waste process, this will actually utilize that gas to generate energy and help offset some of the energy costs that the city has to run this plant. This plant obviously has lots of pumps and things, so it uses a lot of energy. Speaking to Mrs. Ortolano's question, I don't have a specific contract start date. I'm aware that this project was bid out in August of 2018 or so, and I believe started in 2019. It's been a long project to be coming to fruition. We're close, but we're not there quite yet, and we don't have a specific end date. We had to send a meter back for calibration, so we're waiting for that to come back, and then the the system is running on digester gas. We're permitted for that, but there's a setup to blend natural gas in cases where digester gas isn't sufficiently, doesn't have sufficient BTUs to run it just on that. So there's still a little bit of fine tuning, I guess I would characterize it as, to complete this. I expect that'll be done this fall. Again, I don't have a specific end date. This change order is to address some delays in the project that occurred. A few things were encountered where one of the generators was going to go. There was some conduits under the floor, and there was a little bit of delay there while they created a plan to address that, relocating some facilities. There was also a delay in determining how to hang some pipes in the building. There was a system had to be developed for that because the plant system wouldn't work. So those are some major items, and then the rest is miscellaneous costs to complete the remaining work and change order items, which we have negotiated and mutually agree with Methuen Construction on. So this has been a long time coming. The good news is that this change order will get us across the finish line, but it has taken a long time to come to fruition, as noted. It's a very complex project, as you can imagine. Complex systems, complex construction, complex permitting. I guess that's what I have to share. I'd be happy to try to address any questions.
Questions or comments from committee members? All right, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next item, thank you, Mr. Hudson.
Thank
Next
you,
item
committee members.
is communication from Kelly Parkinson, Purchasing Manager. Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Mr. Mayor, I motion to accept, place on file, and approve the procurement of 14 sets of personal protective equipment from Bergeron Clothing in the amount not to exceed $29,800.
All
Did I
right,
get that right?
we,
Yeah, $29,800, 40 cents. Funding will be through Department 152 Fire Rescue Fund 6110 Protective Clothing.
so the communication is pretty self-obvious, but we do have Assistant Chief here, so I don't, is there anything, Chief, that you would like to add to the written explanation?
Good evening, Steve Buxton, Assistant Chief National Fire. The 14 sets are to put protective clothing on the backs of our recent hires. Those are to fill 14 positions that were created through retirement or departures from the department at this point in time. The funding comes through our normal protective clothing budget line. And this is a normal process. The group is a little bit bigger because it is 2 years in the making due to COVID. Usually we have between 7 and 10 employees that come and go throughout the year. So 14 is a little bit larger number than normal.
Okay. Thank you. Questions, comments? Alderman O'Brien.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, and to the clerk, please excuse me, it might be my hearing issue, but when you gave the dollar amount, did you say 40 cents? And if not, may I, just to make sure when it gets transcribed, the amount we're talking about is $29,800.40. I don't know if you said the 40, and if you did, I apologize, it's the hearing. Okay,
Well, if we
thank
can
you.
save 40 cents, we'll do it, right, Chief?
Yeah, sir, I will muscle that through if you need me to.
I'm worried about the 40, every dollar counts.
All right, so the motion is amended to include the 40 cents. Alderwoman Lou.
Thank you. I also have a hearing problem. I didn't hear what account this is coming out of. Was it the general fund?
Department 152 Fire Rescue and Fund 61110 Protective Clothing.
Okay, all right. So that would be the general fund, correct?
Yes.
I
It's out of the fire budget, but that's
right,
funded through
right.
city tax revenue.
And I just had another, just a curiosity. How many retirees has the department had that are being filled?
So these 14 were to fill vacancies on the floor in the suppression force. And since we filled that, we've had 4 members come and go since we started the hiring process back in October, I guess it was. So it's a lengthy process we put them through. But like I said, it's normal to have somewhere between 7 and 10 per year.
Oh, no, I understand. Is this for 7 people or 4? They have two
14,
suits, right?
because we did not hire in 2020 due to the COVID pandemic. We didn't have the ability when it first got started. We tend to hire in the spring. The weather works a little bit more in our favor for our recruit school and a couple other factors. So if you remember correctly, in 2020, the pandemic was just getting started and we were trying to flatten the curve for a couple weeks there, and we missed the bus in hiring at that point in time.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
I have a question.
Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Just wondering, since, were you able to use any of, like, the pandemic funding for any of this type of equipment, or that's not the norm, since we are still in a pandemic? Just curious.
Steve Buxton, Assistant Chief, National Fire. No, we weren't able to use any of the pandemic funding for that at this point in time. Most of that comes through City Hall. We do have a line in our budget that funds this, and it does usually account for the attrition factor within the organization. So retirements, departures, and the like.
Thank you.
All right, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We have unfinished business, none. New business resolutions, none. New business ordinances, none. Record of expenditures.
Mr. Mayor, I motion that the Finance Committee has complied with the city charter and ordinance pertaining to the record of expenditures for the period from July 30th, 2021 to August 12th, 2021.
Any questions or comments? Alderwoman Lou.
Thank you. I had a couple questions. if I could just ask about the overlay account, 11,500. There was a $21,000 payment, and it seems to be a payment to the same people who received a rebate, rather an abatement. And I had hoped that Mr. Griffin, CFO Griffin could just answer, help me with that question. It's one of the questions I sent to you today, but I know you weren't able to address it.
CFO Griffin, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Yes, as Alderwoman indicated, she had sent me some questions today, but I was unfortunately tied up in a series of meetings. I will be addressing each and every one of those questions tomorrow, but if there is a charge to account 11,500 overlay, it's either a consultant person, which I think this isn't, or it's the charge that gives them back their amount of abatement, but I can check tomorrow.
Okay, I thought that the abatement was coded 21,780, or, yeah, 21,780. In the past, it has been.
Right, just for clarification, the 21,780 is, and we've talked a lot about it over the last year or so, that's the refunds account that includes overpayments, abatements, et cetera. The charge to the overlay account is generally for abatements and any consultants that work on behalf of the city, but I will definitely verify and get an exact number, and I will also check to see 21,780 if it was coded as a refund. I'll definitely get an answer.
If you'd like, I'll just, we can talk when you have a chance to review my
Sure.
questions. Okay, thank
Definitely.
you.
Thank you.
With your, I'll wait to vote on it after I've reviewed.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? If not, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
Motion
No.
passes. General discussion, are there any general discussion items? Public comment? Any public comment?
Yes, Lori Ortolano, 41 Berkeley Street.
Please, go ahead.
Yes, hi, good evening. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about the use of subcommittees when we're making big changes on items like our charter. You know, our charter is like our city constitution, and it requires a lot of, close and careful vetting before we make these changes. So, I really feel it was a mistake to push a petition through the way it's going through right now, and not having this subcommittee meet. And I wanted to let you all know that I'm on Assessing Standards Board subcommittee up in Concord. And the committee was formed as a subcommittee to address releasing sanctions against assessors who are sanctioned by the DRA. This became a little bit of a hot issue when we had some of our assessors down here fall in the category of having some sanctions issued. And the Assessing Standards Board realized that those sanctions were not being released publicly, and they had anticipated when they set up the regulations that they would be released publicly. Now, to address that, they didn't push it through and rush it through this year as a board change. They formed a subcommittee, and I'm on that subcommittee. And that subcommittee has been vetting the issue in meetings to allow open meetings, all other chiefs and assessors from the state to come in and participate. And it's been discussed at the full meetings of the board. The DRA and the DOJ have taken a neutral position, aren't going to block it, basically are willing, the DRA is willing to give control over to the Assessing Standards Board, who would like to put it under the Office of Professional Licensure and Certification. Now, that's all done by committee. And it may take about 2 years to get this change through as law. We're going to write the law this September. It's a process, and we're doing the process. And I think we're gypping ourselves down here in Nashua when we have a mayor, some aldermen, and figureheads, leadership people pushing a petition. This is not really a citizen's petition. And anyone who says everyone has the right to push a petition, that's true. But when it's your mayor who's doing it, You're a figurehead, you're a leader. When you're going door to door, people may be assuming that it had adequate vetting, there was adequate discussion, that the facts are being laid out the way they should be. And I don't think that's really the case. And you have a higher level of influence sitting as a figurehead than a general citizen who brings forth a petition. I came to this Board of Aldermen and asked if they would back a petition change for the Board of Assessors to require that all assessing board members
30 seconds.
live in the city of Nashua. It received no attention at all or acknowledgement. Now, that would be a case where as a citizen, I could go out and ask for signatures and bring it forward because I tried to work with the board. There was no acknowledgement and I could do it separately. But you have not been willing to work with the board, Mr. Mayor. You were not willing to work on this subcommittee. And you're jamming this through as a power grab over financial issues. That is really the wrong reason to do it. And you're doing the wrong charter change. The change should be for a city manager. You're in the right church, but you're in the wrong pew here. When you compare us to Dover, who has a city manager,
Your time is
and Nashua
up.
with a $400 million budget has a mayor. Let's work on the correct charter change. Thank you.
Any other members of the public who wish to address the committee? Remarks by Alderman. Any remarks by Alderman?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I would like to welcome our youngest member over here that's diligently and watched this meeting, and welcome to the chamber. I know you're with Grandma, so that's fantastic. You can speak, you can say hello. Hi, okay.
All right, any other remarks by Alderman? Alderman O'Brien.
I would like to make a motion, Mr. Mayor, to adjourn.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Opposed? And the meeting of the Finance Committee is adjourned at 7:22 PM.